First, I want to thank Mexico for a fantastic game. I'm actually really, really impressed of their project, what they're doing, their commitment, their pressing, the tactical awareness. We know the good 1v1 duels, the good 1v1 attacking. They really throw a challenge at us the first 30 minutes. We knew it was coming. We had prepared for it, but still, we struggled to deal with it. So credit to Mexico for that. But that's also exactly what we needed. I said before this game that we're really going to test our limits tonight. We know Germany is going to come flying at us with pressing. We know US is going to come flying at us with pressing. And we said, let's test our limits. We showed against Uzbekistan that we played one of the best attacking football that we played under my time with the Matildas. And we said, can we now play that type of football against the higher ranked opposition? And now the next step is obviously, can we now do this against the top ranked opposition, which we haven't tested yet? So credit to the players. They found a way into the game the last 10 minutes of the second half. They solved it on the park themselves, which is a very mature team does that, and they did it. And then we did some halftime adjustment, and we went out in the second half much more aggressive, which we want to see the Matildas be. We were too passive in our pressing in the first half. And then the ball movement was much quicker. We grew into the tempo, got used to it, played much quicker football. And I think the second half, considering how good Mexico is in the defending, I think it might have been one of the better half that we played attacking-wise with the ball. So that's a long summary, but there was a lot of takeaways from us in this game.
We'll go to questions from the room before we jump online. And if you're online, please use the raise your hand function to ask a question. Anyone from the room? Chris. Sorry, just one moment. Just wait for the microphone.
We need people online to hear me, don't we? Tony, obviously you wanted to try some things tonight. You sort of shifted at the back a few times. I noticed 4s to 3s, back to 4s. Did you get answers to the questions you were seeking tonight?
A lot, both positive and negative, like where we are in terms of the growth process that we go through right now. We're in a learning process. I said this game is all about the Olympics, not an isolated game. This is a game in a process of learning about who we are, test a lot of things, and not to go into too many details and numbers and tactics, but I think we probably had 8 to 10 different variation in formation today in our attacking game. Everything from inverted outside backs to 6 dropping into a back 3 to overloading one side and isolating another. There was a lot of different tactics. And we looked at it as an opportunity to have a training week where we test all these things. But I also think that's a reason why we struggled in the beginning, because you overthink so much. There's so many things to think about. But then when you let go and just release and play like we did in the second half and play more on intuition, much better.
And then, Tony, obviously A-League's about to come to an end. How are those players going to stay sort of front of mind for selection for Paris?
I said this, I think it was back in September. We first always open the door for a lot of players to show what they got. We look at the club, everything, what they do, stats, video, where they live watching with coaches everywhere, not just in the A-League, but other leagues as well. And then we open the door for a lot of players to come in. This close to an Olympics with just one more window, I'm going to be honest to say it's going to be very, very difficult for a new player to break into this roster. It's a challenge as it is to cut players from the rosters as it is now. But then obviously the injury situation is a big question mark. So I'll just tell every player to be as good as they can and be ready and knock on the door and make it difficult for me.
Just over here, next question.
Hi, Coach. Carlos Nava with ESPN International. What did you see from Mexico tactically on the field tonight? Because especially in the first half, it looked like Mexico was moving the ball, but you adjust in the second part of the game.
Yeah. First of all, I think they are tactically sophisticated. They know exactly what they want to do in the pressing. They have when we scout them the last 6 games, I think they played with 4 or 5 different formation defensively, because they adjust to the opposition. So they're tactically sophisticated. I said to the coach as well that I'm very impressed with what he's done with the team. And then the commitment to the players to do it. If you look at all the duels, you look at the running they do without the ball, it takes a lot to press that way. I think that is what impressed me the most. And then if you look at the individual skill set as well, you have some very, very technical players. Look at the wide forwards in their 1v1 dribbling. Look at the individual brilliance they had against the US when they won 2-0. Like, one player can score from nowhere, like in no time. So you need to be switched on. I think maybe the heat and the fact that they played on Saturday and we didn't, I think maybe they fatigued a little bit in the second half, and we had an advantage that we hadn't played a game in the weekend.
head online. Oh, just one more, and then we'll head online.
Coach, thank you for San Antonio. Benjamin Mendoza with Soy San Antonio Football. In attendance tonight, 7,163. Talk about the energy and what it felt like to play in the great city of San Antonio.
This is very important for us, that we learn to play away from home in a different environment and a different vibe. And I love the vibe. I really did. I love the vibe. Like if you look at when it was a 50-50 duel, the crowd went crazy, like the intensity. And I love that about football. And then when you saw a technical brilliance, the crowd got, so, and I think all of us need to remind ourselves how privileged we are to be part of this so-called entertainment business. I mean, what a product out there, right? 90 minutes of this type of entertainment, and the crowd is a part of creating that. So I'm really happy to be a small part of that entertainment.
We're going to head online to Australia and Vince Regari.
Thanks, Dan. Hi, Tony. Obviously, the single best highlight of the match was taken forward, sent that goal early in the second half. Just wondering if you think she's still strangely underappreciated in global terms.
I think she's starting to slowly get the credits that she deserves, but I do think you're onto something here, Vince. I've been tracking Caitlin for a very, very long time, all the way back to my time when I was working in the US and she was playing there. And I see a smart player, I see a technical player, but the one thing that she has that some smart and technical players doesn't have is the commitment to defend. Look at her slide tackles, look at her off-ball work. Like, she is committed like no one else. She likes to compete. She's a competitor. And combine those two, being technical and competitive, it's rare, especially at the top level. So, and then look at her playing week in and week out in one of the best clubs in the world as well. I definitely think she's up there with the best ones.
Follow up, Vince.
And just wanted to ask you, Tony, about two other players. Kate Corby, obviously played from the start, was pretty solid. What was your assessment of her performance? And also, everyone was keen to see Claire Wheeler get some minutes in the second half. She got a big chunk there. What were you looking for from her, and what was your assessment of her as well?
Starting with Wheeler there, based on training week, she actually would have deserved to start. She's been very, very good in training week. She comes from a lot of minutes in Everton. She's in form. She has taken on our attacking principles in a very, very good way. She's confident on the ball. She's quick on her feet, quick in decision. She gets in there in the one-on-one duels as well to protect the space centrally, which we need. So I had actually pre-planned. I talked to her this morning, and it was a pre-plan to get her many minutes because she deserved it. And we wanted to look at a lot of different pairings in there. I think we had 4 different center midfield pairing that were looked at now when Minnie is away. We wanted to test it. Credit to the players to deal with all those changes, to be honest. Torpe, a little bit an unusual role as a left back, but she played that with San Diego for some minutes in that first game in club. She did it well. She's picking up the principles. She's very athletic. She's committed. She understands the tactics. Is the left side the best side for her? Maybe not. Same for Charlie, but both of them can manage an outside back position. So we wanted to experiment with that as well. What do we get when Steph moves in central, when we have absence of 2 center backs? And what do we get when we play poke centrally and move an outside back out there? So we got to test a lot of things. And I think Torpe, what I like is that she's very level-headed. She doesn't freak out and get, rattled about this environment. She's just true to herself and very confident and calm and composed. And I like that.
2 questions for Anna Harrington.
Yeah, spot on. I think I said that after the World Cup. She had maybe her best major tournament in her career, coming from a club where she played very, very little minutes. Same thing now. She plays very little minutes, but it's something with her that, one, she's training very good week in and week out. And we need to remember that she is in very good training environments in these top clubs. So that prepares her very good. But then the mental side of things, right? You could potentially lose confidence when you don't get playing time, and you bring that lost confidence into the Matildas environment. But it's also like she just, every time she comes in here, she managed to perform and be confident. And hopefully it's because the environment we create in here as well. And that's especially based on the players' ability to create that culture and environment in this. So she can come in here and be Rasso 100%.
Follow up, Anna?
And I guess also the other one I was going to ask about was Ellie Falconberg was going to get inverted a lot, and just if you're going to be playing out from the back and trying to beat these presses more, how crucial is she going to be in that role? And what did you make of the way you managed to break through the press generally too?
I think it took a while to get into it. We had prepared for it and knew that they jumped a lot with their wide forwards on our centre back, and the +1, as we call it, meaning who's going to be the spare player, the +1 was going to be the outside backs. Took a while to identify that, but Ellie have really grown in her tactical understanding. We know that she's been an energizer. We know she goes up and down the flank. We know she's athletic, final pass, running with the ball, like all those things we know. But her tactical awareness off the ball, when to come inside behind the midfield, when to stay wide, when to drop down to support. I think Ellie tactically did one of her better games. Look at the second half. She was the key to unlock in terms of finding that diagonal pocket, breaking the line, and then running with the ball. So we're taking strides every game with Ellie and how we can utilize her. And I think she actually enjoys this role a lot, to be honest.
And the final question to Victor Valdez online.
In a few months, Australia will play the Olympics against big teams like USA and Germany. How good was Mexico as a rival for this preparation to Paris 2024? Thank you.
Great question. When we schedule games, we always try to identify what type of opposition we need to face, different tactics, different type of environment to play in. This time we wanted to play in heat because we know it's going to be hot in France. So getting used to the tactics to play in heat. We also wanted to play an aggressive team, which we know both Germany and US is going to be. And we know Mexico is a very good aggressive pressing team. So in that sense, we're very, very happy about this preparation because we got to test things that we're going to face in the Olympics. And again, I really want to credit Mexico. I think they're onto something here. They're doing some great stuff. They show that we really compete with the top ranked teams in the world now, time after time. So this was for us a very, very, very valuable lesson. We learned a lot tonight.